are watching 32 teams in 32 days on the Game Time Sports Network.
It's a great day, sports world. We're here at the last team of the AFC West. I don't know if we're gonna have a whole lot of time because this team hasn't really given the world a whole lot of you know something to talk about for a long time. So here we are, the Raiders, man. I just might go ahead and let you take this show over. This is a team. These guys. Well, consistently, this is how many years y'all been in like the last place?
What's it? 21. 4 years.
Did you know? I know you know. You only made the playoffs twice since 2003.
Rough, man. Rough.
3-14 last year. Now we have a new head coach in Clint Kubiak, who just recently came off of a Super Bowl run with the Seattle Seahawks. So congratulations to Clint. But how do you feel, Amon, about the hire of Clint Kubiak on this team? And do you think he can coach you guys to to success? Let's just say that.
Yeah, man. I think he definitely can. Most, everybody that I know remember Clint Kubiak for the Seattle days, but I remember him back in New Orleans. I remember him back with Minnesota.
Different organizations.
Different organizations. So he's been running the league for a while now. And when he had Derek Carr for a couple years, he was they were doing some good stuff. They was competing for in a division that was scrappy. Didn't have the talent down there necessarily to win a division per se. But he was definitely an offensive coordinator that's been moving up through the ranks, and we all know his background, his pedigree. His dad, of course. Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting for him to take over a head coaching spot. This is green. He's green to this. He's gonna be learning on the job per se, as he is right now. But I'm excited for what he can do for this organization, bringing another voice, a sense of direction, which we've been lacking in the past couple seasons since the 21 season, as you alluded to earlier. So yeah, I'm definitely excited, man, to see what he can do and what kind of product he can put on the field come week 1 here.
His coaching history: 3 years at Texas A&M. He was a offensive quality control coach in Minnesota. He was a wide receiver coach in Kansas in 2015. The year after that, that's when he comes over to Denver. So he could have won him a Super Bowl if he came in a year before. 3 years in Denver as an offensive assistant. 2 years in Minnesota as a quarterback's coach. He was an offensive coordinator also in Minnesota. So tackled another year there. Came back to Denver as a quarterback's passing game coordinator and a passing game coordinator in San Francisco. Offensive coordinator in New Orleans in 24 before going to Seattle in 25. Of course, winning a Super Bowl, and now a head coach over there at the Vegas Raiders. So Vegas Raiders got them another quarterback.
You like that? You like that?
They got Mr. Kirk in the building, and I did have a question. I think I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save the bulk of the question for the last part of the show. But is this the right quarterback to bring in to learn under one the quarterback that you drafted, which we'll get into in a few minutes?
It's hard to say it's the right quarterback.
He's got a lot of experience.
He got a lot of experience, and the main thing for me that was the seller was the experience he has on the Clint Kubiak. He knows the offense, he knows the verbiage, he knows everything that you need to to orchestrate this offense. He has it all. So, with the guy we're going to talk about here in a second, I think that'll be a good mentorship for him. The way he delivers on the field, now how he prepares off the field, Sunday through, well, you say Monday through Friday or whatever, whatever their schedule is. He's the consummate professional. He's been in the league for, oh God, what, 16 years now.
The
Fourth
year
round pick out of
15
Michigan.
coming up.
Yeah, year 15, fourth round pick out of Michigan State. We know that the Commanders at the time, Redskins, drafted RG3 number 2 or number 3 overall that year, and he's had to fight for everything he's earned. He's been successful in some spots. He's been unsuccessful in some spots. But one thing about him, he's a constant professional. Every team that he's been on and every teammate that he's had, whether it's Atlanta, Minnesota, wherever he's been, everybody talks well about him, and that's all you can ask for as a young pup coming into the league is, hey, Kirk Cousins is the model citizen to to look after and model your game after. Not saying that it's going to be 100% perfect. That he still has his flaws or whatever the case may be. But hey, I don't think a better quarterback that you can choose right now to mentor Fernando Mendoza. I can't think of one, so I think Kirk Cousins is the perfect solution for me once I thought about that question that you gave me. So and then, but by the way, you know, Tom Brady was a minority owner said that he wants to do this thing the right way. And I know me and you in the past we talked about developing quarterbacks, how we wanted to thrust them into the fire, week one instead of giving them time to properly develop. And I think Kirk Cousins taking the field early on in the season, um, showing the rookie how to prepare on the sideline, what to do, what to look for, how to, talk to his coaches, get feedback. I think it's going to be great for him. And I'm excited to see what we do here August the 13th, which is Thursday, I want to say. First preseason game versus Arizona, and see, what they've been working on all summer to like I say, put the best product on the field.
Well, I know you're a wild for me, but just to go back to last year, 14.2 points per game for this offense, that was dead last. Yards per game, that was dead last as well. Third down, 28. Red zone, 26. Geno Smith is a big departure. Considering that he is a vet and his 2 years in Seattle, they kind of give him some type of pedigree there. But he led the league in interceptions with 17, and he threw 19 touchdowns. So now you have Kirk Cousins, who was 5-3 last year. And he played 10 games. He started 8, and we already know about his resume. 1,721 yards, not much. 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, but he does seem to improve the offense to a certain degree wherever he goes. So the quarterbacks took 64 sacks. That was also dead last. Quarterback pressure, 36%. That was 23rd. And then you go to the offense. You go to the offensive line here. Stone Forsythe, 14 sacks allowed. Colton Miller missed most of last season. He played 4 games. Spencer Burford, who come over from San Francisco, he had 9 starts, 2 sacks allowed. Tyler Linderbaum, the big free agent that you guys got over the spring, 4.5 sacks allowed. Jackson Powers Johnson had 7 starts, 3.5 sacks allowed. And then DJ Glaze, 12.5 sacks allowed. Dylan Parham also had 5 sacks. And Meredith and what is Meredith's first name? Because I have put Meredith. I kind of his first name is blanking on me right now.
And it's blanking around. Jordan Meredith
And Alex Kappa had a 9.5 sacks combined allowed. So now Tyler Linderbaum, you bring some experience over there. How do you feel about that free agent signing, and do you think this one will plant this one is like the staple into going forward as far as the whole core? Just strictly talking about the offensive line.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Far as the offensive line last year, um, it was a constant struggle from Stone Forsythe, to Jordan. There was some friction between per reports between Spytek and Pete Carroll wanted to play the young guys, and then Pete want to win right now. So it didn't really mesh. So you saw a little bit of everything, and then you got Stone Forsythe, who's a at best a backup. You get Alex Cappa that came from Cincinnati the year before. He's best, a spot starter for you, not really a long term solution. And Pete Carroll was trying to play these older guys to get 10 plus wins because he had in a press conference, hey, I win games. I win 10 plus games every year. But where the rate of cycle was as a football team, they were at the beginning stages. So that was a little struggle. And then Jackson Powers Johnson, he said he had 7 starts. He fell out of favor with the Pete Carroll led or staff for some reason. I don't know why that's still up in question to this day. And then DJ Glaze, man, was just his second and third year in the league. He's still trying to find himself. We don't know if he's the answer at right tackle ultimately. And Colton Miller, he got drafted in 2018. Last past couple seasons been inconsistent as far as health wise, so it just wasn't a solid season for him. And then we drafted Charles Grant and Kayla Rogers in the third round, respectively, 99 and like 101. So those were young guys that were trying to get into the mix that ultimately didn't really see the field to the end of the year. And then once we get to Ashton Jeanty, which we'll talk about here in a few seconds, he never could find his grounding with the inconsistencies on the offensive line, man. So what was your question again? I feel like I had to say that to give our people some perspective of why there was struggles, all up and down the offensive line last year.
I was asking the free agent acquisition of Tyler Linderbaum. Is this like the start of? And I know we don't know right now, but in your opinion, your prediction, do you think that this Tyler Linderbaum signing could be like the start of? All right, let's turn this franchise around.
Yeah,
Considering
I think it's
ownership and everything else.
right. Considering what we had last year, and in the previous, that Tyler Linderbaum signing back in Marshall probably, a huge signing. Some people said it was overpay, and rightfully so, But hey, you are what somebody pay you, right? If somebody say you worth, $10 million, or somebody think you worth X amount of dollars over here, you giving me $5 more million, I'm going over here because you think I'm worth it. But Tyler Linderbaum, he's just more than a center. He's the protection caller for this young offensive line. So when Mendoza do come in, he don't have to set the protections his first year. That'll be Linderbaum's job until he gets more comfortable calling the protections at the line of scrimmage. That's why I think, and then he's just a big, he plays in a phone booth. Um, he rarely gives up any pressure. He been behind Lamar Jackson for the last umpteen years since he came out of Iowa. He's proven he's an all pro at his position, top 2, 3 at his position. Him, Aaron Brewer, and you can name anybody else. Um, Probably your guy over in Denver. Maybe he's pretty good as well. Um, so I think this is the start of something for this Raiders offensive line. It's changed the mentality as well. So when you have somebody come in the building who's been there, done that, played in high pressure games, been to an AFC championship, been to divisional games, been consistently in the playoffs, it only wants you to raise your level of play to his expectations. So I feel like once he come in, he establishes himself as the alpha dog in the offensive line. You'll see better play from the Jackson Powers Johnsons, the Colton Millers, the DJ Glazes, the Kayla Rogers, the Charles Grants, the Spencer Burfords, those type of guys. So I think it was a huge signing. It's not the sexy signing, once again, like we always say about the offensive lines, but it's the signing you need to kick off something potentially that could take you further into the playoffs, ultimately Super Bowl, or where you want to be.
For sure. And I like how you just brought up Ashton Jeanty. What a way to roll in right here. Uh, Coming in his rookie season, 266 carries, 975 yards, 5 touchdowns, just under 4 yards a pop. And he also did work in the pass game as well, 73, 55, 346 with 5 touchdowns. Kind of remind you of like a kind of remind you of a baby CMC. Not comparing the two, but as far as numbers wise, what kind of production we could be getting ready for next year. It could be 1,000. It could be maybe 500 or 600 yards in the pass game, whatever way they decide to use him. We talked about how last year we talked about your expectations of him going into the season. Did he exceed your expectations? I know you had a down year and everything like that, but for the most part, were you happy with his performance coming from last year?
I'm going to say yes. I was happy with what I seen from him as a rookie last year, picking up blitzes very well, very decent, very good in the passing game. If you can pull that back up, and the reason why I'm going to say I was happy with his performance last year and what I'm excited about this year going forward, look at the numbers of carries and look at the number of yards he's had with a bad offensive line.
Right.
He had 1,000 yards with a bad offensive line, and we were like the worst offensive line in the league. And he had 25 yards from 1,000 yards. Now we get upgrades at key positions, like we get a healthy Colton Miller, Linderbaum, Caleb Rogers, JPJ in year 2, Spencer Burford. What if that offensive line was not bad? What if they was decent? We could have seen this may be 1,300 yards, 8-9 touchdowns, 5-point-something yards a carry, and then the targets we could be seeing. You add another 200-300 yards onto these yards for receptions, another 6-7 touchdowns. That's what a bad offensive line what he did. So just imagine what he's going to do with more stability in this zone blocking scheme that Kubiak's going to bring over from Seattle. Just picture Kenneth Walker and the role that he played. If you can picture, and you can put me back on the screen here. And I know we did the Seahawks, the Chiefs yesterday. If you can picture Kenneth Walker on that graphic that you did yesterday when he was running the Super Bowl, think about Genty in that offense this year and going forward with, if not better hands, better catching ability than Kenneth Walker out the backfield. Just picture that. And we know how Walker ran crazy in the Super Bowl. That's him. That is what you want from a 6 overall pick. That's what I expect this year because I've been watching some of his, vlogs and stuff on YouTube. He's been putting in work. He's not one of those guys who's just satisfied. He's getting better. He's, training in Boise. He's been down in Texas training. So he's been putting in the work, and he looks a little slimmer, looks a little stronger. So yeah, be prepared for if you play fantasy football, by the way, look out for him as well. So I'm excited. I'm expecting big things from him after the success he had last year as a rookie with a terrible offensive line.
Yeah, I definitely get your point. I agree with you as well. Just with their production, like you said, with a bad offensive line, dead last in the league, and you figure if you improve, just imagine what the numbers will look like.
If your offensive line won't good, what if they was mid? If they was mid, you'll be 1,100 yards and everybody be like, dang, Gentry had a good season. You know what I mean? But just because that line was that bad, it
don't get that
it don't get you.
Yeah, I get your point. Key additions, key departures. Let's touch this real quick. And the key additions. Geno's a key departure. I don't know what's going on with that. Taron Johnson, Quay Walker, Quiddy Pay, Leonard Baum, as we talked about, Burford. You get Benito Jones, N'Kobe Dean, Jalen Naylor, which is a real low-key good signing right there. You also get a Derek Young, depth in the wide receiver spot. Tyree Wilson, who I think when we get to 32 and 32 for the Saints, I got big plans, big expectations.
Lord have mercy. So you just being disrespectful right now.
Since he left that dungeon down there. Alex Cabot, Daniel Carlson, kicker. You also Darnay Holmes, Lonnie Johnson, those guys like that. So not major losses other than Geno Smith. So which key departure do you think will hurt you guys the most, and what key addition will benefit you guys the most?
Man, this I might be in the minority when I say this, but I'm really gonna miss Daniel Carlson, man. He was money for us at one point in the league for a couple years with us, and he fell off and didn't have the consistent seasons the last 2 years. So I'm really gonna miss him, being an ace on our special teams because I think they were all pros and like Pro Bowl selections, the punter, kicker, and all that good stuff at some point for us. Then the key addition, I like tone setters, and I'm going with N'Kobe Dean and Coy, and I'm going with N'Kobe Dean because we know he came from Philly, championship pedigree. Quay Walker came from Green Bay as well. University of Georgia linebackers. They were teammates in college, so they know each other very well. So I think the tone setters in the middle of that defense. I do like the Quiddy Pay signing low key with what he can do in the pass game and as a run defender. And of course, the low hanging fruit, once again, that's my favorite word in 32 and 32. You'll hear that probably 20 more days straight. Tyler Linderbaum, of course, coming over from Baltimore, would probably be one of my key. As a Raiders fan, you can say all of these key additions I'm excited about, and you can say all these key departures. I'm glad they're gone as well. But I do like the N'Kobe, Quay, and Linderbaum being in the middle of their offense and their defense to be tone setters and let's bring a new vibe, a new energy to the team that we desperately need going into 2026.
I like the Quay Walker edition. Really, in reality, I really don't. But I like it. It's from a team building standpoint. Question: the Kobe Dean and the health. Does it concern you? Because year one he went from 17 games. Of course, he's a young pup coming into the game, but he played 5 games in 23. He played 15 in 24, which is a good number. In 25, 10 games, he started 8. Does that health factor kind of warrant you a little bit?
Yeah, the health concerns me a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Philly fans chime in. You know better than I do, but he's a dog, And right now, the Raiders need dogs on their team. It's a risk with all these free agents. By the way, let me say this, and not for just the Raiders, but Denver, whoever. All these are risks that you're taking.
Draft pick as
Just so
well.
happen draft picks as well. Just so happen you had to sign. We had a floor we had to be too far as spending money, and we went on splurge, as you would say, in free agency, and as far as N'Kobe Dean, once again, that injuries do concern me a little bit. Hopefully, it doesn't bite him this year, and we're praying for health. But I can definitely see where he misses a couple games. He's always nicked up and nagged up, but hopefully he can stay healthy for a full 17, and give this defense a pop and a tone that they desperately need that we haven't had since '02, like you said, 23 years ago, whatever the number is.
He definitely he plays hard. So and Quay Walker as well. He's went over 100 tackles like his whole 4 years that he's been in the league, and since his rookie season he played 17, 23 he played 14, 23 he played 14, 24 he played 13, 25 he played 14. I wonder whether the game missed a concern of why Green Bay didn't want to go with the extension with him there. Uh, but I like both of the signings there. Um, Going to the draft picks here now. Fernando at 1, Trey Stukes at 38, Keyron Crawford in the third round, fourth round.
Yes.
I know y'all had some picks bunched up somewhere, and I ain't even got my rounds right here. But you take Trey Zoom the third at 91 overall, Jamal McCoy, who had to circle that one when we come back and get your thoughts about that one. I'm particularly concerned about 122 right there because that's a running back that I wanted as well. And 150, you take safety Dalton Johnson. Cornerback Hezekiah Masses at pick 175. And 195, you took Malik Benson, who you you talked about out of Oregon, and then Brandon Cleveland at pick 229, defensive tackle out of NC State. For one, and I'll put the graphic back up. So, there are there are former number one picks like Trevor Lawrence, who's another one, Cam Ward, who's another one, quarterbacks.
Recent years or
Yeah, recent years. Just I know it's Trevor Lawrence. I know Cam
Caleb?
Ward, Caleb Williams. These guys get picked number one overall, and they're set out in the battlefield early, just like that. What is the difference from those guys and then a quarterback who's just coming off of a national championship? And it just seemed like to me, and I know it's not, but to me it just seems like they're carefully packaging this. And I see why, but it's like whenever you do put him out there on the field, you want to make sure that this decision, and whenever you do that, whether that's week 6, whether that's week 2, whether that's week 10, whenever you put him out in the field, that'll be the last decision that you make. It's no more turning back. Am I right to think that?
Yeah. I think once you release him, you won't, you say, okay, we're turning the keys over to Fernando Mendoza. I don't know what week there may be. It may be the Rams, week 6, week 7, whatever the case may be, but you're going to see him at some point. And more times than often, you have your Andrew Lucks, your Peyton Mannings, your John Elways, your Dan Marinos. You have from recent, you have your Drake Mays, your studs that just come through, your Justin Herberts. But more times than often, and this is my personal belief, organizations fail quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations. You know what I mean? Because you want to rush them out there, and you want to put them on the field. You want to give the fans something to be excited for. But then again, when we're coming up, it's a microwave society. Everybody want to see the end product right now. When we know the long game is 10, 15 years, plus down the road, like we're seeing from a Tom Brady, like we're seeing from a Peyton Manning. Matthew Stafford, he came out 2009, and he could be potentially playing a Super Bowl in February. That's what you want. You want franchise quarterbacks, and you have to be very careful of how you deploy, develop, and establish your franchise quarterback. So I think the difference between the Cam Ward number one overalls, the Jared Goff, he was in a good situation with Sean McVay, the Andrew Lucks, you know who his coach was when he was in Indy. Who else? Matthew Stafford. They took time with those guys, and that's what you need because you can't expect no rookie to come out there and do what Jaden Daniels did. That was a one-off. You're not going to see that no more. I doubt you ever. Well, I'm not going to say ever, but that was an anomaly. You're not going to see that no more. Take your team to the NFC Championship as a rookie. That's kind of crazy. But I think it's this organization and how the mindset has changed from top down. Because I can know personally for myself, the last time we had no one overall pick was 2007. We had Jamarcus Russell, and we seen how that played out. And you don't want to make the same mistakes twice. To reset your franchise because we haven't been good since when it was Russell, and then we had do the math, boy. It was Russell, and then you had a Tuiasa Sopo, Jason Kelmer for years. Bruce got Grekowski. It was a bunch of hodgepodge in between, and then Derek Carr came along, and 14, he kept us steady. Was it the greatest? Was it anything that you write home
Kind of
about?
like
Or
middle of the pack.
yeah, middle of the pack guy. And then once he left, we went to what's my boy?
No.
No, Garoppolo,
Yeah.
Jimmy G. That didn't work out. And then we it's been a revolving door, and that's not the way that you want to consistently live. But look at Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. They drafted him in 2017. He played behind Alex Smith. Alex Smith played the whole season. The last game in the regular season to let Mahomes go, and the rest is history. he had time to, and look who his coach was. He had an Andy Reid at the time. They had a McNabb at one point. They played that coach a Brett Favre at one point. So he's seen great quarterbacks all throughout his career, and he knew what it took to win. So when you have that patience that you do need, it benefits you in the long run instead of having something right now that you can look back and say, well, 2028, we need another quarterback. Nobody wants to be that. For you guys, it's been, you remember the Paxton Lynch days. It wasn't pretty, you know what I mean? But Sean Payton came in there and made the right decision. And now look at you guys. You probably got your quarterback for the next 10 plus years, you know what I mean?
Assuming. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we're assuming, but with the way that he's the trajectory he's on, he's going to be one of those top 10 paid quarterbacks here whenever that time comes.
Yeah. His ankle is going to determine a whole lot of that.
Absolutely.
So why? I know you probably don't have the answer to this question, but as we talked about with so many of the other number one overall picks, Kyler Murray, another one that I forgot about. When I know you don't, like I said, I know you don't know, but for a lot of these organizations, like, when is the right time? Because you don't want to wait too long and have Kirk out there and say Kirk is putting him in a winning position, and say you're like 6-4 by like the 10th game of the season, and of course you're not going to put Fernando out there. You're going to let Kirk just keep going. But when is like, all right, enough is enough. We got to put him out there. Do you wait till? And I will answer that question more in depth when we get to the schedule, because there's a lot of talk of, you don't want to put him against this team, you don't want to put him against that team, but he's going to end up having to face him regardless.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
So it's like, when is the right time?
And I'm glad you asked that question, because I listen to a lot of Vegas stuff out there on my travels to work or whatever. There is no right time to throw them out there. It's what it looks like when you said 6-4, right?
Yeah.
What does that 6-4 look like? Are we winning in convincing fashion that we're 6-4, or are we barely eking by, winning by a field goal, and we're 6-4? It all depends on how it looks, man. It's like, it's hard to say. But when we get to the schedule here, or whatever we get there, I'll have a more better idea when we will see him. If the team's winning, why take Kirk Cousins out? That makes zero sense. But if we're struggling, we're 1-2 and 2-5, 2-6. You can all kind of tell like where the season's going. Let the kid play. But if we're 6-4 and we're winning by two scores, and Kirk Cousins look good, defense doing their part, you ride with Kirk Cousins and see how far you can push this thing. But if it's a disaster, you throw the kid out there. You throw him out there.
Okay, so say you're 6-4, and then Kirk Cousins, he's had a little bit of an injury bug here these last recent years. And, say you're on a high, and then that happens. It's like, do we go Aiden O'Connell route just to preserve the young quarterback, or do we put him in?
You throw him in. You have to throw him in, because good and well Aiden O'Connell is not the future. The future is 15. You have to, because I feel like he's had, in my opinion, you don't had rookie minicamp, OTAs, all that good stuff to get a good amount of the maybe 30-40% of the playbook under your belt. Now it's all about going out and executing. You had training camp under your belt, so you should be comfortable with the ones if you need to be. So I say, if Kirk gets hurt, you bring Mendoza in, see how he looks. If he looks decent, you look at the next week's opponent, and he said, yeah, let's keep going. And then if he just keep better and better, they might not result in wins, those games that he played, but if he can show flashes of, hey, this is the future, and he looks good, you just ride it out with him and then see what you can do. And then he'll have a whole off season next year to where he's the guy. He'll know 75% of the playbook, and you can just ride out with him.
Back to the draft picks. What other draft pick other than the first one do you have your eyes set on for this class?
67, 91, 101, 122, 175. That meat and potatoes. First and second round picks, they're going to be good. They're going to be fine. There's Keyron Crawford, Trey Zoom, and I'm McCoy, and the guy that you should be worried about, Mike Washington. Because what I've been hearing out of camp that he's explosive, he's mean, he's rugged, he's low on his pad level. 4-3 guy, he's ready to roll. So if what I'm reading is legit, it might be a two-headed show in the backfield come September 9th or whatever it is you decide.
Glad you said that because now is this a concern for Ashton Genty down the line? See, I kind of shout out to my boy Rob Johnson. He always thinking into the future. So I'm thinking 3 years down the road, right? When Ashton Genty's potentially up for a contract, right? Now you bring in Mike Washington. You're gonna have to split those carries, right? I mean, to a certain, of course, Ashton's gonna get a larger share of the carries. But saying Mike Washington's opportunities, he's taking the most of them. So are we looking at where, hey, come contract time, hey Ash, we got this guy over here, or we can draft another one. Does this hurt Ashton's contract chances down the line?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because we said the same thing with Kyron Williams and Blake Crum, and Kyron Williams got paid. And so I really don't believe it does. If anything, it preserves and prolongs Ashton's, tread on his tires, if anything. Yes, it'll be if Mike Washington and Ashton Genty are competing for snaps, that's a good thing for the team. You have a two-headed monster, like I said, like Kyron Williams and Blake Crum. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet before he tore his ACL last year. That was a dynamic duo. And we see what those teams got, those dynamic backs that work together. They're playing in the NFC Championship games and divisional games, So I get it. I get what you're saying. That makes, from what's the word I'm using for the third. I don't know the word I'm using for thinking of right now, but I get devil's advocate. I see what you're saying, but in my opinion, if it only benefits Ashton Genty to have less wear and tear on a tire come contract season. And like you say, he could potentially have a CMC type role in this offense potentially. And we know what CMC got paid. That didn't stop them from getting the bag. And look, they still had Raheem Mostert behind them. They got Brian Robinson Jr. behind him. He still was the main bell cow, but I think it'll be beneficial for both of those guys to hit the ground running. And I hope that for my sake, I hope it does happen.
Pick 101.
Let's talk about it.
I wish I had these videos too, but does the pick 101 concern you with the injury history?
I don't. Yeah, he has injuries. Anytime something happens with your leg, your knee, you get a little concerned. But I know this medical staff is taking their time with him. They're not rushing him out there because we all know if he was healthy, it was him and what's my Mansour Delane was fighting for CB1, CB2. That's what happened. He had a injury that scared some people off, gave him some red flags, took him off their board. But at some point, you have to take a shot. You miss how they say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And with a top 15, top 10 talent like that to fall to the fourth round, pick 101, I think it was worth it. And I don't think they're going to rush him to play. Even if he doesn't play this year at all, I'm okay with that. Because you want to make sure when 2027 comes out, he's fully healthy. And even if you get him for his rookie contract and he can't go no more after the rookie contract, I still think you take that shot because you never know what you might get from him. You might get Patrick Peterson. You might get whatever. I don't know, but I think the injury is a little, like you said, pause for concern. But I think he's going to be okay, and hopefully we get to see him this year.
Trey Zoom, where do you see him? Because
versatile.
He can play.
He can play everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be that Swiss Army knife, play a little tackle and guard if needed to be. I expect Trey Zoon eventually, if not this year, take a starting spot from one of those guards, whether it's Jackson Powers Johnson or Spencer Burford, that I think is going to start. Come mid-season, I think you'll see Trey Zoon in that starting lineup because I think they were very, very high on him coming out of Texas A&M last year. I mean, his position flexibility is huge, and I think that's an asset that the Raiders can use, and I think you will see it come sooner than later. Don't be surprised if he's not starting week one. Don't be surprised.
Another person that another rookie, Keyron Crawford. Do you think he could be pushing for a starting position? Because
Nah,
because he
not a
got,
starting position. Go ahead. Sorry.
because you got Max there. I know you got Quiddy there, and you got Malcolm there, Malcolm Coons there. It maybe not starting, but at least by the end of the season, you can see him getting more meaningful snaps.
Yeah, he'll definitely be part of the rotation come week one. I think you'll see him week one. Um, I think he's has super duper twitch that is very not. I'm not gonna say it's very rare, but when you see it on tape from what I've seen of Keyron after we to be full disclaimer, I didn't know too much about Keyron before we drafted him, so I had to go back and do my homework. So he has some twitch. He can defend the run very well. He need to probably to bulk up a little bit. I think he's like 240, maybe 250, put maybe 10, 15 more pounds on him if that's their plan. But I can see him being a sponge around Malcolm Kuntz and Max Crosby and Quiddy Pay for that matter, and being a key player in his pass rush rotation come week one.
Another one, Trey and Stoops. How do you how do you feel about Trey and Stoops? And
Uh,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. Finish your statement up.
I was going to ask you, and I was about to bunch the questions up, but Trey and Stoops first. You can go ahead.
I like Trey Day. He's a ball hawking deep middle of the field. He play middle of the field. Has range, good tackler, can play in the slot. Out of camp, he's been playing some nickel cornerback, been playing up high, so he has position versatility as well. And also his running mate that we drafted in the fifth round, Dalton Johnson as well. I think those two play well with each other at Arizona. And I think you'll see that come during camp in preseason. He's going to push Isaiah Palomar for a starting spot. Don't be surprised if he don't win that spot. They may keep Palomar for a veteran presence back there. But I think once Spatek get his guys in there and up to speed with the defense that new defensive coordinator Rob Leonard likes to run. He likes to run that Mike McDonald Spagnola type hybrid type defense. That how Spagnola like to get down. You know that for yourself. So he's gonna let them guys loose and let them guys ball, and I'm excited, man. So I like Trey Stoops. I like his running mate out of Arizona, Dalton Johnson. I like Hezekiah Masters as well. That's getting run with the ones and twos right now. They say he's holding his own versus some NFL wide receivers. According to Trey Tucker and Jalen Naylor and Jack Best, second year rookie out of LSU, Hezekiah Masters holding his own. He takes the ball away from the University of California last year. So I'm happy, man. What I'm hearing from the secondary and whole.
You were, I wouldn't say you were high on Malik Benson, but I know when you drafted him, you sounded excited about it. What's the word on
Yeah.
what's the word on him in camp? And can you see him, pushing a spot on the roster?
Yeah, Malik Benson. I'm not gonna say high, but he was on my radar. Coming out of Oregon. The word in camp right now that he's been running with the ones and twos, making some plays. He's been making some solid plays across the middle of the field on the over routes. Mendoza's creating a rapport with him, so look for that connection in the preseason here come up Thursday. And Malik Benson reminds me of a faster Jalen Rager or Nelson Aguilar coming out of USC, and Jalen Rager coming out of TCU from yesteryear. So he reminds me of them. He's definitely going to call a rollout. He's going to make the roster. He's going to call a rollout on this offense, especially in special teams. If he's not the punt and kick returner, I don't know. I don't know who else will be. Maybe Dylan Labe. We'll find out for sure. But he will make an impact on this team. Maybe wide receiver 4 for right now. And if he can bump off some other guys, Jack Best, hopefully not. If that is, that's not a good sign for him. You will see him in the regular season. You know, when Mendoza gets the ball and it's his ball to throw out there and roll and play with, you'll see Malik Benson out there with him.
Other pass catchers on the team going from to last year, Brock Bowers, uh, top five, top five tight end, 86 targets, 64 receptions.
Wait. Don't be disrespectful.
What I say, top five
Don't be
tight end?
dis- Don't be disrespectful.
The top
Don't
five
be
tight
disrespectful. Don't top five. Top number one.
end?
Number one.
Well,
Number one.
He's not Trey McBride. Yeah.
Trey McBride, not Brock Bowers. Bro, go to the next slide because you come across this computer. You go ahead playing.
Neither one of them have Adam Troutman, so
The Joker, baby. But yeah, man, go ahead. You can go to the Brock Bowers slide. Oh,
but Brock, 64 receptions, 680 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He played 12 games, 8 starts. Trey Tucker, 92 targets, 57 receptions, 696 on the yards, and 5 touchdowns. Michael Mayer had 50 targets, 35 receptions, 328 yards. And then you bring in Jalen Naylor, who came from the Vikings. He had 8 starts, 53, 29, 444, and 4 touchdowns. Is this the right core to put or to at least start around? I'm not gonna say the young guy because obviously the young guy is not starting, but a nice young core to put around Kirk Cousins.
yeah, it's for Kirk Cousins and his veteran leadership. I think it is a nice start, but they're going to need more. They're going to have to continue to build around Fernando Mendoza when ultimately it is his turn to take over this team. Brock is good. Um, Trey Tucker in the slot, he's come a long way since a rookie. He was a speed guy at Cincinnati. He's developed very well to expand his route tree. Jalen Naylor coming over from Minnesota. We know, what he did behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And, we look at, I know you didn't mention Jack Best. They have expectations
Talk about that.
from him in year 2 because he also was on that team with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson back in those LSU days. He was very, very young with them. So I believe so. I might be wrong about that. But yes, it's enough for Kirk Cousins because he's the veteran. He can, put those guys in positions to make plays and keep the ball out of harm's way for them. But I think when the end game is you want to get you some more talent at wide receiver, maybe get you is Michael Mayer the answer? Will he be there after next year? We don't know. You might want to get you another tight end. I have hopes for Big Mike, but it's enough right now for Kirk Cousins. But to see the full version of Fernando Mendoza, I think you're going to need a little bit more. And there's a guy too I know that's coming out next year that's worth every penny that worth every slot that he's drafted at next year. So yeah,
Toronto, Ohio State,
or maybe Texas. There's 2 now. That's we'll talk about that when we get to that portion of our lives. But there's 2 guys that I have my eye on right now that I think will be perfect fits for this team. The guy at Ohio State is obvious, but this guy from Texas is catching up to me and catching my eye as well. I was talking to my other friends about him today, and I know it's not a college football show, but Cam Coleman transferred from Auburn is 6'3", 211. He reminds me of a former Cincinnati Bengal, but we'll talk about that when we get to college football.
Dante Thornton Jr. In his development, how do you feel about it going into year 2?
Yeah, year 2 coming out of Tennessee, we know they had that offense kind of split wide. They didn't run the excuse me, they didn't run the traditional NFL route tree. So, he has to, work on his hands. He has to learn how to separate from cornerback. So I feel like he can work on those things and be more consistent. He'll have a bigger impact on the wide receiver run this year as well.
Defensively, 25.4 points per game allowed is 25th. 201 yards per game allowed is 14th. Third down, you were 30th. Red zone, 17th. In the pass defense, not bad. 96.4 passer rating allowed. That was 23rd. 68.5 completion percentage allowed. That was 30th. And 7 yards per attempt. That was tied for 15th. You got young corners on this team, like a Darian Porter, who had 3 PDs, 87.1 rate allowed. Eric Stokes going into year 6. He had 5 PDs. Jeremy Chin still on the squad. And then a guy who you spoke on earlier, Isaiah Polamalu, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the secondary in addition to Jamal McCoy, assuming that he'll, jump on the train either later on this year? I don't know what the word on him in the camp is, but whether he'll jump on the train later on this year or possibly next year.
Yeah, the secondary, the bright spot last year was Eric Stokes. He got rewarded with a 3-year, $30 million contract this offseason. So congrats to him coming from Green Bay the year before, playing well and getting rewarded. We know Darren Porter was a Pete Carroll guy, long corner, running 4.26 out of Iowa State. He played mostly wide receiver, and then he converted over to DB his last year of school. So he's still raw at the position. And Isaiah Palomar, he's been the solid veteran back there. Him and Trayvon Moore was back there 2 years ago before Trayvon went to the Carolina Panthers and signed a 3-year, $51 million deal. But for McCoy, Massis, Stoops, and Dalton, what they're trying to do, they're trying to get a youth movement with this secondary. You want to get young guys in there and see what you have, because last year the offense was so bad, and that's why those numbers were so bad. The offense was so bad they couldn't stay on the field. Every time you turn around, the defense was back on the field with a short yard, and they were giving up touchdowns. That's why those numbers are so awful. So hopefully this defense can come together throughout the year, especially in the secondary. J.O. get better and give the offense more short fields and create scores for us, because we didn't turn the ball over a lot. I think it was less than 10 times or less, and that's not good. That's not any good recipe to win football games in the National Football League. So we'll see what happens, man.
Run defense, you guys were just under 4 yards a carry at 3.9, 116.8 yards per game allowed. It's not bad. Not bad. Not something bad to build off of. Max Crosby, of course, he leads the charge across that defensive line, playing 15 games, 73 tackles, 10 sacks, 28 TFLs, 2 forced fumbles, 20 quarterback hits. Not him. Him. You can see the numbers there. Do you see at the top right where it says "staying for real" this time? Of course, he was involved in the trade talks. He was actually traded to Baltimore for 2 first-round picks. Don't know the rest of the conversation, what it was, but he seems like he's here now for the long haul, wherever that leads. Then you have other guys on here, like the Jonah Lalu.
John Laulu. Yeah.
Laulu, he had 51 tackles, 4 sacks, 5 PDs, 8 tackles for a loss. Thomas Booker going into year 5, 5 PDs, 7 quarterback hits, 44 tackles. How do you feel? Adam Butler, 50 tackles, 1 sack, 5 quarterback hits. How do you feel about this defensive line here, which I think could be a strong point of this defense going forward?
I actually disagree with you that if I had to say, the defensive line is probably the weakest spot on our roster right now. Because outside of Max Crosby, you really don't have any guys that really threaten you or put a fear in your heart, that'll scare you. That's why, when we signed Christian Wilkins a couple of years ago, that flop, we thought that would help. And then we brought back Adam Butler. We signed Benito Jones. We got Tonka Hemingway. That was a rookie last year that's showing some promise in camp. But I think, the defensive line I'm a little worried about, especially the interior, because I just don't know what I'm going to get consistency on the down in and down out and week out and week out basis. I know what I'm going to get from Max. I know what I'm going to get from Quiddy. I know what I'm going to get from Malcolm Kuntz if he's healthy. That defensive line is where I have a little concern. And to answer your question, where he stayed there, talk to me in October right before Halloween, the trade deadline, and see where we are as far as record-wise, contention-wise. If we're out of it, I expect somebody to come calling like Dallas, maybe Seattle, maybe a team that's in contention. Maybe, I don't know who you can throw out. Chicago, maybe. They might need that extra defender to get you over the top. I have a better answer for you then, but for right now, he's here to stay. He says he wants to be a Raider. He's an all-time Raider. He's a consummate Raider. But until something changes and we get another ticker across my screen, I'm gonna say he's gonna be here until further notice.
Yeah, they said he said that early part of the year they shipped him off.
But of course, they shipped him off. But he didn't have no control over that. He's
No.
just one of. He ain't got no control over that, man. When somebody come offer you 2 first-round picks for top 5, 6 edge in the league, I mean, he's probably top 3, top 4 to me. Him, Will Anderson, Chase. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson. You do whatever you want to do with it. It's kind of hard to say no to that. You're trying to reset the future and build for the future, but you definitely understand why they did what they did.
He needs to request a trade. Request a trade to Denver. I know that's not going to happen, but if
we can do a trade. We can give us PS2. You can have Crosby. We'll do that all day long.
Negotiations off the table.
Yeah, get somebody else to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into the schedule here. Going into week 1, you got the Dolphins, and then you got 2 games on the road against the Chargers, division rival, and then at the Saints, Chiefs in week 4, at the Patriots in week 5. You got the Bills and Rams, the Jets in week 8, followed by the 49ers, Seahawks, Broncos, Browns in back-to-back weeks before hitting the bye in week 13. And then after that, week 14 at versus the Chargers. Then you got the Broncos at home. Then you got the Titans at home. Damn, 3 games at home. And then you got at the Cardinals and at the Chiefs to finish up. No primetime games. Why? Why am I? I'm not surprised. But what's the strong point here on the schedule? Assuming that maybe y'all are not a contending team, but a solid team.
Yeah, bro, it's looking rough, man. Because I'm looking at week 4, 5, 6, and 7. Lord have mercy, boy. Lord have mercy. So remember that question you asked me earlier? If one spot you would want to play Mendoza, when would it be?
Yeah, let's get into that.
Probably after week 7. Probably after week 7. Yeah, because it ain't looking good right now. Because Miami, okay, that's a push. Chargers, we always split with them. The Saints gonna be better. We know the Chiefs, playoffs. Didn't make the playoff. Patriots, AFC champ, Super Bowl. Bills, ooh, boy.
Rams.
So, I better coach Jets team. San Francisco's gonna be great. Seahawks Super Bowl champ. Denver's always Denver. They're gonna be tough. Cleveland spanked us last year. So if I had to pick, I would say either after the Rams in week 7 or after the bye week, come out with the Chargers at 405 in week 14. Those are my 2 landing spots, my 2 sticking spots for Mendoza starting.
I hate that because most people will say, all right, well, say if you're coming off the Bills game and then you start up against the Rams. Well, no, you don't want to start up against the Rams. In reality, you don't, especially if Aaron Donald comes back. Like you don't want that. But then it's like, okay, then you're gonna throw him out there for the Jets for Will McDonald, to get to him. That a lesser of a pass rush team. But then he's got to go and face San Francisco. Who knows what they'll look like, considering all the injuries that they have. But then week 10, you got to go see Seattle.
No disrespect to Will McDonald, but I feel a whole lot of confidence putting Mendoza out there versus Will McDonald and throwing him out there versus Myles Garrett and Brady Fitz. No disrespect to none of them guys, but you tell me actually why I want to drop him in there, I'd rather much drop him in against Will McDonald for sure.
then you see Benito and Zach Allen, and then you see Garrett.
My point right after that, week 11. Like, what are we doing? At least could build up a callus, going against Will McDonald. Like, oh, well, shoot, well. Then you got Nick Bosa, and then you got them boys with Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams in Seattle. Oh, then by the way, you got Zach Allen, Benito, and they're trying to get on your ass. And then if you throw the ball wrong, Patrick Surtain going the other way for 6. So yeah, I build my confidence up versus Will McDonald. No disrespect, Jets fans, but this is how it is for me. I'm just being honest, being real.
So you start him against the Jets, and then the rest of the way he's good, considering what you
Yeah,
got going the rest of the way.
yeah, because like you said, you're going to see him regardless. You're going to have to play these teams at some point because you got Denver, Seattle, and you got Broncos and Chargers back to back. Those are good football teams. Those are playoff teams. So you're going to have to see them at some point. So let it go. I mean, I'd rather put him out there versus the Jets than put him out there versus the Rams. Not unless we're 0-6 come week 7. Then you throw him out there and you just run the ball and get Ashton Genty, get his money's worth, and Mike Washington money's worth, and see what you can do after that. But yeah, man, I say that after that Jets game is perfect. If you had to pick a spot, but we all know there's no certain spot or no right answer because Kirk Cousins get hurt week 1, like Aaron Rodgers did, carry the flag out there, snap the ball one time, and go back to the sideline, and then that'll be it. So
that ain't good.
absolutely.
Man, I hope that don't happen for Kirk. But man, Mendoza, I just think, and it's something about him. and correct me if I'm wrong. In your opinion, just seems like a football nerd, right?
Yeah.
He's
a nerd. He's a nerd, bro.
A sponge and just like to soak up the information. And I kind of can see why they're what I call bubble wrapping him up. Taking him out just when it's the right time, which we probably talk about the Jets game.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But does he seem like a franchise quarterback? I know a lot of critics had their differences with him. They liked him as a franchise quarterback, and then they don't like him as a potential franchise quarterback. But nevertheless, I'm impressed with him. He's just coming off a national championship, and we'll see what happens with him going forward. Hopefully, they can get him in there as soon as he can. When he played Denver, they go ahead and kill him just like that.
Trust me, he won't do what Gardner Minshew did. I promise you that. And have me looking crazy.
Do you got anything else? What's your prediction for the Raiders this year, as far as record wise?
I see 6 wins. I'm gonna be realistic. I see 6 wins, 7 wins max. I know I got 17-0 there and there, but we're gonna be realistic here. They know there's gonna be some bumps and bruises because you have a rookie quarterback and you have a rookie head coach that's learning on the job, and you don't have a complete football team. You have some holes on this team. You need an upgraded wide receiver. You need an upgraded offensive line. So I'm gonna be realistic. I'm not going to say 10, 11 wins. That would be nice, in my humble opinion. But I'm gonna say 6-7. And you're going to win some that you don't supposed to win. You're going to lose some that you don't supposed to lose as well. So
Dolphins.
We got to be realistic here, bro. Like,
but you sat here and told me that I was crazy for thinking that the Arizona Cardinals win 4 or 5 games.
When we get off this, right? When we get off this show right here, I'm going to see the Arizona Cardinals camp highlight with them looking like a JV squad at our local high school. You really think you can get 4 or 5 wins out there? Okay, look, that's your belief.
You're squeezing 6 wins. You're squeezing 6 wins out of a Raven out of this. You're squeezing 6 wins.
We only won 3 last year, so I'm saying we doubling our wins. That's a success.
Dolphins, I can see. Saints
gonna be tough. Okay, so here they go. Dolphins, I see the Jets. I can see Cleveland, one of the Charger games, Titans, Cardinals, and probably probably one of the Bronco games, to be honest with you.
What?
Yeah.
I would take one of the Chiefs games over the Bronco games.
I would take one of the Broncos games because ain't nobody scared of them for real.
We only beat y'all like 10-7 last year on a Thursday night. So
Thursday night.
I'm not surprised. Like, you gonna have one of those type of games anyway. Like you just alluded to earlier. You're gonna win
that you don't supposed to lose.
Exactly. So I mean, I can see it. I don't see it happening though, but I mean, I give y'all cool too. You know,
I'm cool with that.
In prime position to get another early draft pick. And
Then
eventually,
you're gonna have to see.
eventually, it's gonna be like the NBA where you guys can't be picking the top five no more.
And then again, if we picking in the top 5, you're gonna see either Dylan Stewart or Jeremiah Smith coming to you, and then you don't want that Jeremiah Smith problem. You know you don't want that for yourself.
Yeah,
Patrick Surtain don't want that.
we got Riley Moss for that. So.
We got Adam Troutman, so we good, baby. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you got before that we didn't touch on before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got a couple things. Well, maybe one thing. You a real life hater for real. I see for every other team, you had a highlight of a play that they made from that. Like we talked about Kenneth Walker, you had his run in the Super Bowl, and then when we talked about them other teams, you had plays for them. But when it come to our team, you ain't had no highlights for us at all.
It's not.
Yeah, it's great.
Every team I didn't have that.
But you had it for certain teams though. You had it for certain teams. You had them.
I didn't have it for the Chargers.
Okay, that's hate because of the Chargers. You didn't have Kansas City.
49ers.
I don't care, but you did that on purpose. I know you did. I don't appreciate that either. That's crazy.
Well, we did talk about the Ash and Jesse, but I just didn't have time.
You had time. You just took it. You just cut it out. You just cut it out the show. You added and cut it out the show. It's fine though. It's all good. But I don't expect anything different from you. I just hope y'all have a bad season. You know, we get our 6 wins to keep it pushing. And I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I ain't fussing, man. But other than that, I ain't got nothing to say. It was probably one a little longer. You said it won't gonna be a long show. Here we go, an hour and 7 minutes in. Because you want to ask questions about a team that you hate. We could have just let me talk for 35 minutes and been over with. But you had, you being a narrator, you being the host, you had to do your job. So I can't get mad at you.
I'm just giving the people what they want.
Okay. All right then, brother. All right. But no, I don't got anything else, man. It's gonna be, before we wrap up here, I think it's gonna be interesting for my team. Like I said, new coach, new quarterbacks in the building, different regime, new ownership. Brady, having his hands in the cookie jar a little bit, as you would say. And I'm curious to see, what happens. I'm not expecting, to go from being worst to first. I'm not expecting, to be last either. I just want to see a better product on the field in 2026 and then build on that from there.
Does having Brady in the building, does it give you a more confidence heading into the future?
Absolutely.
That concludes the AFC West. We're going to start with the North come tomorrow. So we're sweeping right through these things. If you ain't got nothing else, we are out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in, and let us know who you got in the West, between the West, NFC West, AFC West. Who you got winning this thing? You ain't got nothing else, buddy. We are out of here. Everybody have a great Sunday. Peace.